member at IBM in the UK, and she works out of the Hursley lab. She has been a microprofile guru for a long time, working on microprofile projects since 2016. And she leads the specifications of microprofile configuration, fault tolerance, service mesh, and things like that. She's a CDI expert group member, and she's passionate about microprofiling Jakarta EE. We've done several sessions on Jakarta EE, which had like a lot of good reception. So I mean today's topic also a little bit builds on top of what we've seen there. And the other interesting thing about Emily is she's a seasoned conference speaker. I mean, she speaks regularly at conferences such as Code One, DevNexus, JAX London, DevWox, EclipseCon, and QCon, GeekCon, JFocus, a lot of events. All the prestigious Java events. She's lectured in the past, and it is really a privilege for us to have this really special speaker take us through a very interesting topic, right? So you'd never do full apps, so you'd always do a hybrid cloud app. So how do you build that? What are the best practices? What are some of the things that we should keep in mind? So a lot of interesting things to learn from Emily. So without further delay, I would turn it back over to Emily. Emily, back to you.
Thank you, Sashi, for the great introduction. Hi, everybody. I'm Emily. I'm from UK. So this topic is about hybrid cloud application built with pure openness. The first is to talk about this topic. Is why it's I come up with this topic. Actually, earlier this year I was in India in the GATE conference. Actually, I was asked. The one person came to me. He said, "Oh, I want to build cloud native applications. However, I don't really want to tie my application with any particular cloud." So this is why this topic come into life. So basically, it's the aim is how can you build application basically without knowing which cloud you're going to deploy, and also is your application one day is can deploy to other containers and you don't need to change much. So this is the whole concept about this. And also towards the end, you also we talk about the new age the deployment model like a serverless. How can you utilize the serverless and etc. So let's take a quick look about the hybrid cloud. So you might have heard of the hybrid cloud, multi-cloud, public cloud, and private cloud. What are different? Basically, private cloud, you own your own cloud, and public cloud basically is such as IBM cloud, Amazon cloud, Google and Azure and etc. Hybrid cloud, this is most companies will utilize hybrid cloud. They have something in the private cloud and some use some services in the public cloud. So when you build application, you have to bear in mind your application most likely will need to run in a hybrid cloud. So it's a hybrid cloud application. So what's particularly interesting about hybrid cloud application? At the end of the day, is pretty much your application offers services and capable running in either private cloud or public cloud. So this is the hybrid cloud applications. So it's the thing is that you want to make sure your application built with the open standard or open source. So you are not particularly tied with any particular cloud APIs and etc. One day, if your company merge with another company, the other company use a different cloud, you have to rewrite your application if you just directly use one particular cloud APIs and etc. So this is something you need to bear in mind. And how can you survive? Your applications survive for a long time. So it's, in this topic, in this session, I'm particularly talking about Java. So basically, also I'm a Java champion working on Java for many years. And Java is top 3 like a programming languages. It has a massive uncompetitive ecosystem. When you do a very comprehensive applications, I think your first choice will be Java. So obviously, you use Java, you have a Java JDK, Java APIs. In order to create a cloud native applications and save you save you from like spending more time to look at quality services and how to connect with the database and etc. You have to utilize some libraries and some standards. So it's stay away from the some particular libraries. I highly recommend you check out industry standard such as MicroProfile and Jakarta EE. So if you have not heard of Jakarta EE, looks like you have heard of Jakarta EE. Anyway, it's a successor of Java EE. MicroProfile is the new framework. Basically, is was designed for cloud native applications. It's very close to the cloud infrastructure. In the next few slides, I'll give you a quick intro about Jakarta EE and MicroProfile, just a level set. So for Jakarta EE, basically is previously it was Java EE. It was owned by Oracle, and then in 2017, Java EE was moved to Eclipse Foundation. Is partially caused because by the success of MicroProfile is under Eclipse Foundation. And then Jakarta EE, the major focus point is cloud native and also open. So previously, like the TCK in Java EE is closed, and then now is under Jakarta EE, everything is open, API spec and TCK. So everything is in a clear. And also, it's trying to achieve the faster pace innovation and also come basically combined with tooling and specification as aid. So it's have the mind of the cloud. So basically also geared towards the cloud deployment. Jakarta EE was backed by the leaders such as IBM, Oracle, Payara, Microsoft, and Red Hat, and some other JAX, and also some quite a few Chinese companies as well. So as you can see, this is a big collaboration among these industry leaders. And the first release is Jakarta EE. This is pretty much basically a rebrand and change the the Maven coordinator to be under Jakarta. In the and the next thing is the Jakarta EE 9.1. So this is pretty much like a package name change. If you know, if your application uses JavaX, basically you import JavaX. So that's pretty mean you use Java EE. And if you want to modernize it and stay current, you have to move to Jakarta EE. So basically it's from Jakarta EE 9.1. So it's all the spec namespace change from Java X to Jakarta. And also it has some deprecated specification was removed. And also Jakarta EE 9.1 has Java SE 11 support. And then after all the foundation work done, and then last year, September, just 1 year ago, we released Jakarta EE 10. As you can see, the 30 specifications. Majority of them has update. And if you do a REST course, so presumably you will use a REST web services, this specification. If you transport a JSON object on the wire, you will use this. So it's and if you do the messaging, and particularly you might use this. And then security, you might use authentication, authorization, and also the security. This is the Java faces, and it creates a front end application. And then a subset of them is become a web profile. So this is about 22 specifications. And then further down, there's an even smaller portion. The 7 specifications is basically put these 7 specifications together. We call it a core profile. So this one was directly created by 4 macro profiles. So basically, macro profile consume this core profile and then added additional macro profile specifications. So with this core profile, you can create a REST applications. So you can, this REST, this is kind of JSON payload. This is help you along to do the kind of the injection framework, like using CDI to directly inject some instances. So this is a quick intro about Jakarta EE. So it's just in case you don't know much about Jakarta EE. Actually, if you are Spring developer, and Spring also use like Jakarta, some Jakarta specifications. Whenever you see Java, import JavaX or import Jakarta, so that's directly from Java EE or Jakarta EE. So the next thing is about macro profile. So macro profile is young. It was created in 2016. So at that time, it's because Java EE was kind of stopped, pretty much stopped from investing by Oracle, and then some industry vendors, including IBM, Red Hat, Tommy Choi, Piara, and others, we set up this macro profile, and then like a few months later, in January 2017, we moved to Eclipse Foundation. So as you can see here, the latest release about macro profile. So in the latest, in the 6.0, it packaged the Jakarta EE 10 core profile together with these 8 macro profile specifications. For this one, REST client is connect like microservices together. Open API, if you know Swagger, that's pretty much based on the Open API standard. So it's basically document microservices. And then the config is about configure your microservices. And health, metrics, and telemetry is about observability. And GWT authentication about secure microservices. And fault tolerance is about how to build resilient microservices. If you want build reactive microservices, you will need to use reactive messaging. And this one, you can directly use this and then connect with Kafka or connect with MQ and MQTT and etc. And this is about transactions, LRA. This is a GraphQL integration you can see. This is the context propagation is directly is about how can propagate some context to the new thread. So this is a quick run through about macro profile kind of the concept. And as you can see, this is from the beginning macro profile in 2016, and then now it's back to 2022. The very busy releases kind of have been happening. So like the latest release December 2022, and then at the moment we are trying to do the 6.1 release very soon. Similarly to like Jakarta EE and macro profile, also backed by industry like leaders like IBM, Red Hat, Tommy Choi, Fujitsu, Microsoft, Oracle, Piara, Ajax, and then also a few JAX and a couple Chinese members as well. And this is the kind of implementation. When we say the standard, is not a standard if there's no multiple implementations. As you can see, there's a lot of implementations trying to implement macro profile. That's a similar story for Jakarta EE as well. So I particularly call it out like the Open Liberty, which is also focused for this presentation, is also open source, is created by IBM. So they embrace both macro profile and Jakarta EE. So this is a compatible implementation for macro profile. Like you can see, there's many implementation for you to choose from. Once you use the API, if you want to move around among this like runtime, and you feel free to do so. So your application don't need to change. As you can see here, like 6.0, there's more application will come to join the list very soon. And OpenLiberty has been used as a compatible implementation to release the micro profile like 6.1, 5, and 6, and etc. So which is why I choose OpenLiberty for this kind of the talk as well. And the other thing is because I work on OpenLiberty, so I know it quite well. So if you have not heard of OpenLiberty, the next few slides will give you a quick run through why you should get to know OpenLiberty and as your container for the for using microprofile and also Jakarta EE. Up to now, as you know, Jakarta EE and microprofile, they only offer APIs. So basically, it's all the interfaces. In order to make it work, you have to use an implementation. So OpenLiberty is one of the best implementation for this industry standard. So OpenLiberty, if you log on to openliberty.io, you can find more information about it. So it's basically supports like a microprofile and Jakarta EE. And also, not only support these APIs, you can freely use the APIs, and also we have a lot of tools to help you to increase your developer efficiency. And also OpenLiberty basically is have a built-in innovation to reduce application runtime and also delivery cost. So we talk a little bit more afterwards. So also OpenLiberty trying to stay very current with the microprofile and Jakarta EE, and it was the first like a production ready to support both Jakarta EE 10 and microprofile 6. So in the 2303 release, and also you can learn a lot more from the openliberty.io/blogs, and we basically publish blogs to document the features and the usage and etc. So this is goes without saying, is a huge support for the basically micro profile and also Jakarta EE. If you write brand new applications, consider OpenLiberty, and if you modernize your existing Java EE applications, also consider like OpenLiberty. If that's API is not like convincible to you, and there's some other like fundamental reasons for you to choose OpenLiberty. OpenLiberty is just very composable. So it itself is a lot of building blocks, and it will only give you enough runtime for you to run your application. And also it has a very low operating cost, and it supports CI/CD delivery pattern, and it has zero migration, which is no other runtime offer this. So zero migration means if you write an application and you move up to the newest Liberty release, your application stay unchanged. So we never delete any features your application use. So this is you can utilize the kernel upgrade, you can utilize the Java upgrade, by your application staying intact. Also, it has like a very Kubernetes optimized. Basically, is the kind of it has a great performance and also Kubernetes native. It offers greater developer experience as well. So later on, I can like a demo. I can do a quick demo to see how easily to get started with Liberty. So this is the kind of the quick summary about why you should use Liberty. First is kind of going through a few points, explain in more details. In a traditional app server, so you get everything. Basically, you got like if you are WebSphere customer, you get the whole stack. So no matter whether you use it or not, you have them all. But with Liberty, you control what you need. So basically you can say, okay, I only want like a CDI. It will only give you the kernel and the CDI. If you say, oh, I want to use the REST web services, it will give you the kind of additional feature. So this is the way is a kind of you can get just enough runtime for running your application, because it's all being controlled by the concept of the feature. And not only the build, for the application build, also for the container build, also it can give you very performant Docker image. So it's for the application, you can use the Maven Gradle to build your application. And also, by the way, all the Open Liberty artifacts are all in Maven Central. For container build, it supports a Docker file. You can do your own Docker image build, or it also has a cloud native build pack. You don't need to write like a Docker file, and also has a source to image concept as well. And basically certified Liberty image released to IBM container registry. As you can see from the right hand side, this is kind of the Docker file, example Docker file. So the Liberty is in the IBM container registry. So you can say icr.io/appcafe and /openliberty. So this is the kind of the tag. And also the Java 17 OpenJ9 is a UVI image. And then you copy the config, and then you can run the feature.sh. It will just give you the feature your application need. So optimize the memory footprint. And then you copy your app, and then you do a config.sh. This will be optimize your execution. So this is kind of the quick like a Docker file, how can tell you how can you optimize the footprint and execution. So earlier I also talked about CI/CD. When you do a cloud native, like a hybrid cloud application, also you need to consider like iterate development. So basically you plan it and build it, release it, and monitor it, and also is back again. So it's Liberty itself use kind of offer zero migration. So mostly all different version of application will continue to work. And also Liberty has like a 4-week release cycle. So every 4 weeks it will do a release. So in the next few slides, I will show you how can Liberty help you, your developer, code, build, and test. Like Liberty, when you first create a application, you can go to start.openliberty.io, create your application running on Liberty. And also it has a code config assistant. So basically you can like code it up, and then you can see the changes straight away. And also it has Maven Gradle plugins help you along. And you can write tests, either JUnit or the container test. And also you can debug your code and directly attach your debugger and etc. And it works, all this kind of tooling work on like a VS Code, IntelliJ, or Eclipse. So it's whatever your favorite kind of the IDE you want. That's pretty much for the kind of whole application development. So next thing is that you might consider about deploy or application. For deploy your application, the first thing is basically deploy to the cloud and Kubernetes enabled platform. And you will, if you directly work with native Kubernetes, you have to write your deployment YAML file about describe your deployment, describe your services. And I don't know how many YAML lovers here. I heard a lot of people are just terrified for the YAML. So that's why Liberty has a Liberty operator. So basically insulate from the Kubernetes complexity. You don't need to work out how to write it, the deployment, and write your services, and basically that blocks. And all you need to do, you just say here, you create a YAML file, you just say, like a Liberty, the kind, and also your application name, If you use WebSphere Liberty, you just need to say the license, and then you will see how many replicas, how many instances. The major thing also you only need to do is application image. So basically, this is your Docker image. So that's pretty much the only line you need to change. The only two lines you need to change: this line and this line. And also, if you want to configure replica, you just specify there. So with this, it's pretty much like a very low entry point for Kubernetes. So this is kind of the letter liberty operator dealing with all the image pooling and etc. and for you. So the next thing is Liberty is basically first get you to the Kubernetes. Also, Liberty is on kind of a major cloud as well, like in Azure, like Azure ARO or AKS or Amazon Cloud, and etc. So you can find a Liberty in the kind of the marketplace, yeah, or you can bring your own license and etc. For observability basically is the kind of the you can do basically logging, metrics, health, and tracing. For logging, you can use like basically a log stat collector feature, and also you could use like basically the JDK provided logging or the JSON logging. So there's a lot of logging, and then you can like stream out to aggregators like Splunk, like Elastic, and etc. And for metrics, so you can use macro profile metrics to collect a lot like metrics data, and then later on you can feed into Prometheus Grafana. And for health, you can use macro profile health to provide a startup and probe, a Leibniz probe and readiness probe to the Kubernetes. So health will have like a different endpoint for you to work well with Kubernetes. For the tracing, you can use macro profile telemetry. So, and then this is the macro profile telemetry directly adopt open telemetry metrics under CNCF. And it will be able to automatically trace like REST calls. And it work with like a zipping Yaga, so you can show the like tracing spans and etc. So this is pretty much like have your day two operation covered. So with that, let me quickly run you through about how can you use the Liberty to do your like a cloud native application development using microprofile and Jakarta EE. So it's with that, actually, I have my application running already. So you can just get it run. I have this application created using like a microprofile starter. So it's create two applications. I will show you later about microprofile starter. So this is service A and also service B. So it's as you can see here, basically when you like running that microprofile starter, you create all the kind of the application, and it creates a POM or Gradle flavor. So here it says using microprofile 5, and immediately you have all your microprofile APIs available to your application. And also here I will say, okay, I want a Liberty. All you need to all it does is give you the bring in the Liberty plugin, and Liberty tool has Liberty dashboard, and then is kind of you can start your application and stop your application. So for the like a service B, you can quickly, this is REST. If you know here, Jakarta REST, right? Jakarta REST. This is a get operation. So it's just say process for me parameter value, blah blah. And this is service B. And service A directly actually is use service B. So all it does basically use microprofile REST client. So here's a microprofile REST client. So this namespace. So directly like create service B like API. So it says do something in the get operation and passing pass prom. And then all you need to do, annotate it with register REST client. And then later on in your RESTful endpoint, you can just say, okay, you inject REST client, and then you can directly call this. And you might be asking, okay, how do I know where service B lives? So that's is using like micro profile config, so directly config. You can just say a fully qualified class name is the API. So com example style java.client.service, and this is key /mp rest /URL. So this is the service B lives. And then when you poke this, basically, when you poke this service A endpoint, will directly call into service B. So let's have a look. Actually, service A and both service A and service B are already running in order to save time. So if I hit this endpoint, so this directly call into service B. So if I go back here into service B, so into service B, I can change, for example, here, I will change here, I will change star of Java. If I save this one, so I save the service B. If I go back, like basically service A, you call it, you can see it basically it's reflected changes straight away. So this in this way, you don't need to do much things. So the tooling automatically handled all the kind of the restarting work for you. You just quickly basically look after your business logic and etc. So this is if you want to stop it, and you just stop it running, it will stop. And here if you want to stop, you can stop. And also you can view unit test result. And then earlier I said, okay, you can run the test and then you can attach a debugger, you can stop it. So this is kind of basically Liberty tooling. And for example, and if you want to start it, and you can just say, okay, start it, it will start. And basically this is the kind of this is the kind of the basically macro profile applications. For example, here I will start. And the other thing is like I haven't done anything. However, you can get a lot of metrics as well. So it's a lot of things basically is built in. And also you can get your health check, health live. So you can see the health status. You can easily plug into your Kubernetes and like for help for the liveness prop. For this one, basically is the output and etc. is directly like created in here. Basically, you can have health liveness check. So here you can just say annotate it with liveness, and you can build your logic here to see whether it's live. So similarly for the readiness, so this is corresponding to Kubernetes liveness readiness check. So here is startup, again, is kind of startup check. So it's a lot kind of the features for you to for you to use. So the other thing is kind of auto box. You don't need to do anything. Also, you got like a documentation, open API. See, everything is kind of the basically documented. And in Liberty, it even give you UI, so you can directly like try out this kind of the. You can even try it out. For example, you can say try it out, hello, and you execute. So you can see it will you get a response. So this is the kind of the basically is help you like increase your productivity for building cloud native applications. So it's for what you have done there, so you can easily do it yourself. if you use the IntelliJ or VS Code or basically or Eclipse, you can do the extension. Basically, you install extension. You just say macro profile. So all you need to install is the extension pack. So I have that installed already. And then if you want to create like a macro profile application, you just say macro profile and like the artifact ID, group ID, pointer here, you choose a version, choose a runtime, choose the application, choose either Maven or Gradle, and then you choose whatever you want to create about, and then you do a OK. It will just like, yeah, create all this application for you. I'm not going to do it. So it's similarly, if you do, if you want to create a brand new applications, want to use Liberty, there's another thing you can do, a start.openliberty.io. So it's in here, and you can choose like which version you want. Is 601 Jakarta E, and then you can do a generate project and import into your IDE. So that's a quick demo about development, cloud native development. Let's go further to the cloud. So once you finish your application development, next thing is you want to deploy to the cloud. First, you will think, okay, how can I make my application performant? Again, we are talking about Java. The first thing you will say, okay, JVM, right? JVM. Hopefully you all have some knowledge about JVM about translate your source code to machine code. And then there's a JIT working in the background when you like translate like basically it's JVM translate your application not directly to the machine code. It's basically the to a byte code, and then later on basically the translator, the JIT, the translator interpreter will translate directly to the like machine code. So this is kind of the for that interpreter. Basically, it's when you run your application, and there's some component called JIT, just-in-time compilation. So this is kind of improve. This is a component trying to improve the performance, and however, JIT when it's working, basically, and sometimes you will get the peak memory usage. So here, when the JIT is working, it got this. And then in the OpenJ9, like Samaru runtime, I don't know whether you have heard of OpenJ9. If you haven't heard of it, go to Eclipse project, OpenJ9, that's open source, directly open sourced by IBM. IBM has a different flavor of the Java. So it's called a Samaru runtime. So directly is repackaged OpenJ9, and also it's released under name Samaru. So it's the Java team came up with an innovative idea. Is about Samaru Cloud Compiler. So it's become a service itself deployed to the cloud. So application don't refer to their own version of the JVM. It uses the dedicated Samaru cloud compiler for the kind of just-in-time compilation. So this is a huge dramatically reduce the peak memory usage. So as you can see from this table, so with the basically the memory limit with the Samaru cloud compiler, it save like a few hundred megabytes. So that's a huge saving. The bigger your application, the bigger saving you will get. And the journey is not only stop there, and also we look at not only the memory footprint, we also look at about the startup. So as I mentioned in the beginning, when you do like the serverless, basically you want like your application start fast, and also basically the also like shut down fast. In this way, you can save your save the cost, right? So every minute, every kind of the memory usage all cost money. So it's with that we also came up with the concept instant on. So instant on basically is from both the Java point of view, and plus also the app runtime kind of point of view. So instant on basically is a joint effort between OpenJ9, Sumeru, Sumeru JVM, and plus the Open Liberty. So basically, the concept is you start your application basically in a container and take a kind of checkpoint. Later on, if you need a new instance of it, you directly try to install from that image. So with this install on concept, your application can start in milliseconds. So this is ideal for like a serverless, and also is kind of is up to 18 times faster. So it's instant on basically is kind of the has all the benefits for the startup, and also basically avoid the disadvantage from GraalVM. So GraalVM is no longer JVM, and like some rule like instant on is still traditional VM, and all the instrumentation tools can still use useful, can still be used. And then that's some rule instant on. Earlier I talked about basically a runtime instant on, like a Liberty instant on. Basically, it uses the basically built on the JVM, and also when the application start, basically when the application start, and it can take a snapshot. So take a snapshot, and then is kind of the whenever the new instance application need to be created, it just use that instance and restore the Liberty JVM from snapshot, and then like a Liberty JVM run post restore hooks, and then you will get a Liberty running. So this whole technology is built built on the Linux technology called CRIU, checkpoint restore in user space. So it's this is kind of the great technology to achieve the quick startup like concept. So Liberty basically is an OpenJ9. It run the pre-snapshot and restore to enable this kind of the really fast startup time. So it's later on, I will have a quick demo to see how fast it can be achieved. So next thing is kind of the I briefly touch on the Knative. So I briefly touch on the serverless. For like a serverless, the major thing is you want like a scale to 0. So luckily we have a Knative to help us to achieve that goal. So Knative actually has the 3 pillars help to provide build and serving and event. You can do an event-driven architecture, and for build you can like basically help you from the source code to the basically image creation. So it's a very good tool if you do not know Knative, and check it out. And putting them all together, basically earlier I mentioned about Sumeru Cloud Compiler, so directly increase the performance for Java. And then instant on from both JVM and plus Liberty. So Liberty, JVM, Sumeru instant on, and plus Liberty instant on, they work together to increase the startup performance. And then Knative is here to help you to achieve scale to 0. So this is a quick screenshot is for one like application. Basically, you have many features installed, as you can see here, and it started in 231 millisecond. So in the container, so it's pretty much impressive. So let me give you a quick demo. Basically, is to show you the instant on and also the knative about scale to 0. So with that, I have another basically application here. Let me make it bigger. So it's so in here, if I can say the run base, so basically that's pretty much. I have two basically is Docker image in place. One is without instant on, the other one with instant on. So without instant on, those run base. So I can run it. So it's in the container. So as you can see, this application started in a lot of features. There's a lot of features. It started in 3 seconds in the container. So that's without instant on. So with instant on, if I say run dash like instant on. So this is you can see is starting in 311 milliseconds. That's exactly the same application. So it's basically is very impressive. So it's under the application basically is running. So if I just go in here, see this is the like with instant on, as you can see, it's kind of load up and has metrics and etc. Is the application running. So this is let me kill it. And then is the other thing is kind of the I show you the basically the Docker file for without instant on. So basically you just create this image, as I mentioned earlier, IBM container registry, and then is kind of the all these labels, and you copy the file, and you run config.sh to increase the performance. So with instant on, that's a Docker file. So the only difference is after you run the config.sh, you just need to do the kind of the checkpoint, run checkpoint.sh after app start. So that's the only difference, the Docker image, the Docker file. So and then you get a huge performance boost. So the other thing is also I want to demonstrate the kind of the knative. So as you can see here is the kind of the knative you have OLO controller manager, nothing is running. However, if you do get knative services, you can see this is two application is actually in the background. If you just directly like basically kick off one of them. So if you go in here, she is basically is directly the start this like application, and then if you do a cube control get ports, you can see basically that application started run it and then also get destroyed. So it's you saw you is terminating. Yeah, you can see it's basically terminating, and this is the kind of the if you go in here. So the first one is without instant on. So this one is kind of the with instant on, as you see. See, this is another kind of the application in the Knative. So it's running fast. If you do get ports, you can see here is this is the kind of the second application is running, and if you wait for a bit, and it's terminating. So you can see it can scale to 0, and also it's run pretty fast in the kind of the Knative fashion, Knative environment. So that's the kind of the quick run through for that. So is basically is all you need to do basically is create a Docker file in order to utilize the instant on. Just have a different just add one line code there, and then you got your application running very fast in the cloud. Let me quickly go back here. If you want to get to know, basically it's to start to create hybrid cloud applications, want to use this open standard, and check out the openlibrary.io/guides. So it has a lot of information for you to learn from. So if you want to say Jakarta Yinyi, so basically Jakarta, there's a lot of guides for you to learn from. And also if you do a micro profile, a lot of guides again for you to learn from. So each guide takes about 25 minutes, 15 minutes, and etc. If you want to getting started with Liberty in 25 minutes, you just do a clone and then go and try it out to understand how easily basically to get to know Open Liberty. And also if your journey is in the cloud, and for example maybe OpenShift, and then there's OpenShift, you want to learn operator, there will be like some other like a guides, Kubernetes operator, Open Liberty operator. If you want to learn Docker, there's some other Docker. I know it's also Podman as well, if you want to learn Podman. So there's a lot of learning experience, learning materials for you to use. And also there's kind of some other, if you want to know more about instant on, there's a kind of the dedicated page about instant on. Also in the Liberty, this is pretty much a new feature about instant on. If you go to the blog, also we are trying to create some guide for instant on. There's a lot of instant on, so that blogs, you just search, understand how to use instant on to learn. Basically spend half an hour to get to know more. So this is takeaways for you to experiment more. So with that, I think this is the conclusion of my talk. So I can take on some questions.
Yeah.
Okay, let me stop share, and then you can ask questions.
Yeah. So thanks a lot, Emily. Perfect session. I think a good mix of theory and the demos. And I was personally surprised to see how easy it is to get set up on Open Liberty. So I have some questions. We'll just read them out to you, and then you could answer them.
Yeah.
So this is one of the usual questions that we get. Any production use cases that where Open Liberty is used in large companies?
You Open Liberty use what?
In large companies.
Oh yeah,
any production use cases that you know of?
Yeah, actually we have we have a customer kind of we gather a customer kind of the thing in the IBM.com. So this is the kind of thing, the customer reference, right?
Right.
So I know it's even in Open Liberty, I know some bank, I know I cannot say their name. A large bank use Liberty. The other thing is kind of the Open Liberty also, we have a license, so you can buy an Open Liberty license. If you want to use WebSphere Liberty basically is a product, basically include Open Liberty and plus some other like features and etc. You can get WebSphere Liberty. And there's the Open Liberty blog and talk about basically is one customer. So they just explain why they use Open Liberty. So this, let me share my screen again.
Yeah.
Share. So this is one customer in Europe. So they migrate their microservice to Open Liberty. So there's some other like IBM.com customer Liberty reference. Yeah, so there's a kind of the there's some other customer reference as well, like is a large Blue Cross Blue Shield, like the company is a large shop about I think it's a WebSphere Liberty. Remember, it's kind of the they migrate their application from WebSphere, a traditional WebSphere to WebSphere Liberty. Me Blue Cross. Yeah, so and then I did kind of join a talk with that company in the Las Vegas like IBM Tech Exchange conference. So they did a really good presentation. Let me I can share I can share the presentation.
Right.
Yeah. Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, so I have other questions too. So
Yeah.
the other question is, traditional WebSphere was, in the experience of this programmer, he says traditional WebSphere was a bit on the heavier side. How does Open Liberty compare in terms of memory footprint? Does it consume more memory, less memory? Because I think this person has a lot of memory intensive applications.
Oh, this is great question. Is consume a lot less memory. So this is another thing. Is actually it's basically it's more performant in the Open Liberty and faster as well.
Right. Got it. Yeah, so that's, I think, the other ones are more or less around the same themes. And then there's one on, how to learn, but I think you've covered that in your presentation. So that's great. So, but again, once again, just want to thank you on behalf of all the participants for a fantastic session. Emily, thanks for the links to the learning resources. Really helps us build off of this session and then initiate our Open Liberty journey. And what we will do is we'll share the list of participants later after the session. But we thank you for taking the time out to do this session with us, and we really hope to bring you back for another session sometime soon.
Yeah, thanks. By the way, I found out the customer using Liberty. I just quickly show
Okay.
you. So this
Okay.
is the kind of this is the presentation on the basically from the Blue Cross Blue Shield in South Carolina. So they
Hmm.
use the OpenShift. So basically,
Right.
they directly basically use the WebSphere Liberty. Basically, they migrate from WebSphere portal to WebSphere portal to Liberty. And
WebSphere
they
Liberty.
save tons. The reduction, like infrastructure reduction. So this is directly answer your other question. So the
Right.
memory footprint, they reduced like 76%. At first, they didn't believe it and double checked, triple checked it was, and also save a lot cost as well. So that's
Perfect.
kind of this is the further the loading testing session was awesome. So yeah, so they really happy with the WebSphere Liberty. Okay,
Right.
with that, I think yes, yeah, we are done. And thank you so much for having me. And yeah, hope you have learned something you are interested in. Thanks.
Yeah, we did. We did. Thanks a lot, Emily. Have a great day ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Bye bye.